This episode of Scarifyer brought to you by Morbidly Beautiful, your home for horror.
Hi, this is Lisa Wilcox, known as Alice Johnson in Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5. And you are listening to Scarifyer.
To a new world of gods and monsters.
Alright, the gut is going to tell you real quick how to bring the horror into your own home with a handmade soy wax candle from American Nightmare Candle Company. The scents are inspired by locations iconic to the horror genre, places like the Overlook Hotel, Sleepy Hollow, and Elm Street. Each fragrance combination is carefully curated to transport you into the story, and the catalog is ever evolving. So head over to Etsy or to AmericanNightmareCandles.com and get 10% off when you use the code SCARIFYER at checkout. This deal only makes sense, so get your American Nightmare candle today.
Alright, it's Friday. That means it's another episode of Scarifyer. I am the Ace.
I am the Gov.
And I'm Quinn.
And we have a very, very special guest today. And because it's such an important episode to Quinn, please do the honors.
All right, guys, I am very excited. Our very special guest is Lisa Wilcox. You know her primarily from Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 4 and 5 as Alice Johnson. Lisa, how are you?
Well, hello there.
I already want to know right from the beginning, what got you started in acting? Like, was it something that you've always wanted to do since you were little, or?
Oh my goodness, no. I was a shy kid. I was completely involved in reading books, and daydreaming about being Nancy Drew, and Little House on the Prairie. I really buried myself in books. I was very shy. But interesting enough, I did like to read out loud, like in English class, when you're studying, it's poetry or whatever. And, you read out loud from the book, and I did enjoy that. So I actually auditioned for a play. I'm from Missouri, and this is my 9th grade in Missouri. And auditioned for a play part called Ms. Randazzle in MASH. Do you guys know the TV show MASH?
Oh, yes.
The TV show? Yeah. So actually it was a play. First. So anyway, I had 2 scenes, and it was really just comic relief, really, kind of scene. It took place in front of the curtain, and then I'm a secretary, so it's like the pencil skirt and the high heels and the red lipstick, and I'm supposed to go and sit on my boss's desk and take notes on my steno pad kind of thing. But a funny little cute scene. So, okay, so 400 people are in the audience, and I'm strutting down, and one of the footlights, if you're familiar with footlights, they can be up or down, and they were supposed to be down and locked. Well, one of them was not locked, so my foot goes down center stage, and literally my high-heeled strappy sandal is dangling off my ankle. I cannot free myself. My steno pad, my pen, everything's gone flying. Mind you, I'm also in a pencil skirt. And then the guy who's playing my boss we started to like improv, and he's like, "Oh, you had a little too much to drink there, Ms. Randazzle." Anyway, so finally behind the curtain, they realized something was amiss, something was going wrong, and because I'm stuck, I cannot free myself. So again, center stage. So the guy playing Hawkeye, he sticks his head out between the curtain. Now the audience, by the way, thinks this is all part of the act. They're laughing hysterically. So anyway, he helps free me from the footlight and proceed to do the scene. So that was my introduction to acting. So my most embarrassing moment actually was really fun. So shortly thereafter, we moved my dad was offered a great job in Newport Beach. So we all, moved out to California. But at that point, though, I wasn't thinking of being being an actress at all. I wanted to go into the medical field, actually. My grandmother was a registered nurse, and my great-grandfather was a doctor who actually passed away, died in the 1900s during influenza, treating those with influenza. But anyway, so that's kind of the field I wanted to go, be a doctor. Anyway, so we're in Irvine High School, and a friend says, "Oh, I'm going to this audition at Buddy Upson's theater in Newport Beach. You want to come?" And I said, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll come." So I'm just sitting there in the audience watching the auditions, and my shoulder gets tapped. So the producer of the play, Jane Knight, she's like, "You're auditioning you're auditioning, right?" I said, "Oh no, I'm just here with my friend." Anyway, she was very persistent. So finally, I auditioned, and I got the lead role in Lanford Wilson's play, The Hot L Baltimore, and Equity Waiver, and we received a lot of awards and accolades and whatnot. And anyway, that's when I got bit by the bug, and from there on, I did play after play. Mind you, maintaining, a straight A's at high school, but doing Equity Waiver outside of high school. Rehearsals every night. I look back and go, my God, I had a lot of energy. Anyway, so and then went on to UCLA and got a theater arts degree. I also studied Grotowski 3 times a week outside of UCLA. So anyway, there's the story.
Wow.
My gosh, Renaissance woman.
Seriously.
So let me ask you a question. Which do you enjoy more, doing like the play atmosphere or like movies and television?
Gosh, I have to say I still love theater. There's nothing as exciting as having something live.
Yeah.
And anything can happen, and it does, but it's...
As you pointed out.
Yeah, exactly. And I also loved doing sitcoms because it's very similar like theater, because you start on a Monday, you rehearse, and then you do, and then network comes down and we do what we've rehearsed that day, and then they make tweaks and change lines and change scenes, this and that. And you do that all week. And then Friday, you have a live performance with a live audience, and it's just the best. It's really the best. I would say my least favorite is probably episodic, just because the hours are crazy and you're usually driving in all these different locations, and it's very stressful. And I really do admire actors who are on episodic TV, because you have to realize they have a lot of lines to memorize, but they're also getting the script for the next episode that they're going to be doing, so they have to be working on those lines too. I mean, it's really intense. Episodic is intense. Like little mini movies done in very, very little time.
Right. On your mark, get set, go.
Yeah. Film though is great too, because you do have typically more time to spend with your character. Oftentimes you do get to do like a read through or something like that before you start filming, and get familiar with the cast and the director and everybody too. But yeah, I would say anything live is my favorite.
Nice.
Very cool. Well, kind of sticking with that topic, before we go into obviously what everyone's waiting for us to talk about in Nightmare on Elm Street, do you have a favorite TV show that you did during your time?
Oh gosh, oh my goodness, so many. I love doing Valerie's Family with Justin Bateman. That was a fascinating experience, because I did the episode that Valerie Harper that played Valerie. Okay, the show was called Valerie's Family. Well, she was fired. It was a crazy story, and she was recast with Sandy Duncan, and they changed the show to Hogan's Family. And I'm the one who got to work with Valerie, but then was reshot with Sandy Duncan. Crazy. And Justin was just the sweetest, just such a sweetheart. I'm so proud of him, how well he's done. Oh my gosh. I love doing Mr. Belvedere, MacGyver. Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Right. And I have to say, I did behind the scenes the Brady Bunch, and I got to play Florence Henderson / Carol Brady. I got to do both, because we had scenes where we're in character as our, Brady family characters, and then we got to play also the actor or actress that were playing those characters.
Oh, that's
so
really
if you
cool.
follow, But that was super cool to be on the set. I mean, the Brady Bunch set. Are you kidding me? I was freaking out.
Yeah.
Were you able to work with Florence directly with that, or was she not involved?
No, I didn't. Sadly, I did not. Gosh, that would have just been amazing to meet her. And I know she's passed, but I've heard just wonderful things about her.
Where does the upstairs to the Brady house lead to, really?
Nothing.
I knew it.
But it was so fun to, like, they did my hair. It was when so I had a wig, and then the little straggle parts down when she had it, and then the beauty mark. And the clothes were awesome. I love the 60s and 70s clothes. So much fun. So.
I swear that was one of the best eras of fashion. I swear to goodness.
Yeah, it is. I swear. Yes, the bell bottoms. Oh, love it. Love it.
I know that, like, they say, like, fashion comes back, like, every so often, but you're not going to get anything close to the 60s and 70s. No.
No. And then the 80s fashion, I'm sorry. Shoulder pads?
So obviously I know that we do want to talk about Nightmare on Elm Street. But one of the things that I kind of wanted to kind of shout out a little bit about and almost like thank you in a weird way. Obviously you have seen pictures of me. You know that I am a redhead. And growing up, it was so weird because when you're a little redhead girl, you feel like you are the only one on this planet.
Yes.
And who was my hero, Lucille Ball or Ariel? And they were great, please don't get me wrong. But it was really cool getting a little bit older and getting to see, like, your character go kind of, like, shy. And I know that, you know, obviously you're not naturally a redhead. But seeing that when you are younger and you're like, oh my God, I can be a redhead and a badass, this is great. So on behalf of all redhead girls, I'd like to say thank you.
Oh, you are very welcome. My mother is a redhead. Green eyes
is she?
redhead. Yep. In fact, during Nightmare on Elm Street 4, you know, there's old Alice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at one point they considered having my mom play old
really?
Alice. But she didn't look old enough.
I mean, hey, still flattering for her though, right?
Very flattering. No, I have nice teeth. And I'm naturally a blonde, and they asked me to dye. They wanted to dye my hair, like old Alice. So I did. Well, it was a rinse actually that they put on every single morning. Okay, it was very time consuming, and ultimately I should have just flat out dyed it because it's like throwing red paint on white because I had like platinum blonde hair, and you know it stained my hair. Anyway, it's fine.
So I want to go ahead and start to kind of teeter in to the Nightmare movies. I'm curious, can you tell me about, like, what the experience was like for landing that part in part 4? Because I mean, it was a pretty bigly established movie franchise, and then you get this lead role, and that's got to be huge. That's got to kind of be a jaw dropper.
But before we dive into that, we feel now is the best time to tell you that Scarifyer are proud supporters of Rue Morgue. Rue Morgue is the world's leading horror and culture and entertainment brand, spearheaded by its multiple award-winning magazine, Rue Morgue and Rue Morgue Digital. But if reading is not your thing, that's okay, because there's Rue Morgue TV, the official YouTube channel, as well as Rue Morgue Cinema, which produced the acclaimed original film The Last Will and Testament of Rosalind Lee. So head over to RueMorgue.com and subscribe to Rue Morgue magazine for your bi-monthly slice of horror culture and entertainment today.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it was, and I'd done quite a bit of theater, and I really hadn't done that much. I think I'd done a couple soap operas, and maybe a guest star here and there. I didn't have a lot on my resume, but interesting enough, through UCLA, I got a manager and an agent and all that good stuff. And my manager said he submitted me for this role in Nightmare 4, and I was so excited because I'm a huge horror fan, a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan. And then he's like, well, they're not going to see you because you have to picture I've got platinum blonde hair. I've got all the 80s makeup on. I look like a cheerleader, okay? I look nothing like Alice, how, you would picture Alice, right? So, anyway, Annette Benson, the casting director of the Nightmare on Elm Street series, told me the story that they literally auditioned like 700 actresses for the role of Alice, and they could not find their Alice. So they went through their reject pile, of which I proudly stood in, and I finally got the opportunity to audition. So, of course, I went in with like dirty hair, no makeup. I wore my worst color, which is pale yellow. I auditioned, and then I had a callback on a Friday, and I auditioned with Tuesday Night. Tuesday Night was the first who plays Kristen. She was the first person cast in the Nightmare 4. So, yeah, I had a callback on the Friday. I was getting married that weekend, 150 people attending, and I was actually on my honeymoon when I learned that I had booked the role of Alice, and our first day of filming was actually on my birthday, April 27th.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Kind of snowballed from there.
I know.
Kind of speaking of Tuesday Night, to kind of teeter off for half a second, I heard that you also were in business with her.
Yeah, for almost 10 years.
Oh, wow.
We actually lived in the same city, Studio City in California. It's Los Angeles. And I think we bump into each other now and then, like at the dry cleaners or something. But anyway, one time we bumped into each other, and I was going through a horrible breakup. All this was at the Staples Office Depot kind of place. We talked for an hour and a half. Anyway, and she was making these adorable little illusion band toe rings. Basically, illusion band, stretchy, and then a charm covered with Swarovski crystals. Anyway, I just fell in love with them, and we became business partners together. I invested some money, and we started off in our, where we lived. But eventually, we got a third partner, and then we had offices, and I mean, the company just exploded. We were like in every possible magazine you could think of. We were in boutiques all over the United States. We were in England. We had huge distribution in Japan. I actually did Shopping Channel in Japan. It was a really, really wonderful, wonderful time.
Oh, that's really cool, and it's a nice way to like kind of keep connected,
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
So, A Nightmare on Elm Street, it's a very physical film. Can you tell us a little bit, like, what kind of prep went into becoming Alice and some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that maybe you weren't expecting, got completely taken by surprise?
Well, they actually sent me and Andras, who plays my brother, Rick, to karate school. So,
cool.
So I could, we could learn some karate and, somewhat handle the nunchucks, So that was pretty fun. Then it was very interesting filming because I had amazing stunt doubles. Some of them were Olympiads. Okay, like these people were like so talented. And when we were filming the church scene, which my gosh, we probably were in that church probably a full week. I maybe longer. It would be funny because we'd look around and be like, they're all dressed like Alice, in the jacket and the jeans and the boots, and we all have the same outfit on, and it'd be one day there'd be like 5 Alices walking around, It was pretty wild. It was really wild. I had done some gymnastics in high school, so, I could at least start and like do a cartwheel kind of thing, but other than that, they did it all, they did it all, and they did phenomenal.
What about the character of Alice that, like, you were able to identify with, because you bring such strength to the role, especially going from, like, the repressed, kind of quiet version of Alice to a very powerful female figure toward the end. What about the character were you able to, like, identify and relate to with?
I just really related to Alice in so many ways. I had said earlier, I was really shy, and I just, I would spend in summer, when school wasn't happening at summer, I literally would just be locked up in my room reading books, book after book after book after book, from morning to night. I was just very just quiet and introverted, just very introverted. And we also moved around a lot, so that was always hard. Another new school and have to meet new people, and they already have their cliques and this and that. So I was very, isolated, and it was lonely. It was very lonely growing up. Then it's kind of when we moved to California, I think that I remember my sister and my mom, they were going to go to Barbizon. I don't know if you've heard of Barbizon modeling school. Anyway, and I was like, well, I want to go too, And my sister was like 4 inches taller than I am, and, very athletic, beautiful. But I tagged along and did Barbizon, and I learned how to use makeup and like wear clothes and stuff like that. And it's kind of like I kind of bloomed, in high school. I really did, to where I was outgoing, and then also acting. Getting bitten by that, I don't know, it changed me. So with Alice too, it's kind of like she starts, introverted, shy, and this and that. But then when she has purpose, she wakes up and continues to wake up, to where she's going to fight for her life and fight for her friends and fight for humanity. You know what I mean? I think the script is really beautifully written. And to have that kind of character arc is like an actor's dream, to have so much change in one film, so it's pretty thrilling.
Nice. It's a very inspirational role, especially for a strong female character, especially in the horror genre. You do have your like final girls, but to have a character that is kind of like you described, very introverted, very quiet, to turn around and say, I'm going to do what needs to be done, that's very big. That's very inspirational.
Yeah, no, I thank you. And then, Alice going on to Nightmare 5, I mean, she's fighting for her kid, and it's like, you are not going to take my son from me. You are not, she maintains her strength and sets her ground, and think of the time in the 80s too, and of course slasher movies, it's typically who's going to get killed next, and the dumb blonde is going to be first, or whatever, so after she's naked, okay.
You have to do these things in order.
Yeah, so it's definitely not your typical female horror character. That's for sure, and that's why I go back to the script too. I mean, all my credit goes to how this character that was written.
Did you ever think that you would ever portray such a character that could stand next to like Ellen Ripley or Sarah Connor, kind of very strong character who can take on?
Oh my gosh, I just love that you said that. I did. Let's see, what was it? The Playboy. They have a radio show, and anyway, but this topic has come up, and also someone sent me a thing like I'm in the top 10 of inspirational female heroines in film.
Oh yeah.
And that character's in that list. I'm like, oh my god, because I love that character. I love her, Sigourney Weaver. Oh my god. So it's really an honor. And so no, I never imagined. No, I did not. So to be put in that context.
So Nightmare 4 comes out. It's a huge hit. Did you know right away that there was going to be a sequel and they were going to be calling you right back?
No. That happened after the movie came out, whenever, and like you said, I mean, it was like #1 box office for like 6 weeks or something. I mean, it was. We were all like, oh my gosh, pinching ourselves, literally. So it was probably about 3 months after it came out that they approached me about doing Nightmare 5.
Because I know that
And I didn't have to audition. Thank you.
Oh, that's all right. That's a relief. And you got to have your real hair in 5, right?
What was that?
I said you got to have your real hair color in 5, right?
Yeah. Well, the remainder of it, because again, it was like, wasn't as blonde. I mean, it's finally kind of started to rinse out. But yes, they did no hair dye in Nightmare 5.
So I'm probably going to ask one of the most common questions. What was it like working with Robert Englund? I'm going to ask the most popular question. Please forgive me.
Well, no, he was great. He was wonderful with us. I mean, a lot of us, we were just, beginning actors, and he was quite established already, and he had done the TV show V, and of course had already established the, Freddy Krueger. But no, he had no airs about him whatsoever. He was the most down-to-earth, lovely, lovely guy. I call him Uncle Robert. So, yeah, it was a great pleasure. True professional and always creative, and, loves actors, loves the craft. Yeah, he's just such a pleasure.
What are some of the challenges you found making these 2 films?
The challenge in Nightmare 4 was keeping track. What I did with my script is, because obviously we don't film in order, okay? So we might doing, scene 3 or scene 56 in the morning, and then scene 3 in the afternoon, or it's all over the place. So I wrote in my script for every scene basically who had died by each, who had died by each scene, okay? So that for doing, say, scene 56, I'm like, oh, I'm super strong now, okay? I'm at this level of intensity, as opposed to, because, I wanted it to be believable that Alice just didn't go from shy, introverted girl to, all of a sudden she can kick ass, right?
Right.
So in order to make that believable, I had to have levels of, degrees of my strength, basically, So that was the definitely a challenge with that film. So with Nightmare 5, pretty much Alice is, full on strong chick, I think more of I had a lot of lines, and I was more of a lead, really, in Nightmare 5 than I was in 4. So I had a lot of responsibility on my shoulders, and it's actually the least screen time that Freddy Krueger is on, Robert's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, it was a big responsibility, definitely.
What was some of your favorite scenes that you did on 4 or 5, for that matter? Was there anything in particular that you had the most fun with, or that you got to kind of make your own, kind of improvise a little bit?
I think one of my favorite... No, I mean, we didn't... The Writers Guild strike was happening, so there's a scene that Andras and I actually wrote, which is when I'm in the den and I'm watching, and Kristen has died, and I'm watching a video of her and Debbie and my brother Rick, and he comes in and he's like, "What are you doing?" Blah blah blah, and I start talking about Freddy, and he's like, "Stop with that crap." We wrote, so I'm very fond of that scene, actually. Then one scene I really love is in the kitchen. Dad has come home and he's drunk, and he sits down for dinner, and he's like, "What am I, a rabbit?" And he does that thing, and then Alice goes into daydream mode and slams the bowl at, I just love that scene. I just love it. Anyway, I think that's really powerful, and I certainly love all the scenes in the church. I just love the ambiance of the church, and
It's beautifully shot.
the fight scenes, and just it was just really, yeah, it was really cool. So, and just being in that get-up, and it was very fun. Nightmare 5, gosh, I think I love the scenes with Jacob, like in the hospital, and he comes and we're having a conversation. Anyway, I enjoyed that, and I loved working with Kelly Jo. She's a hoot.
What was it like playing Alice as an old woman at the diner?
Well, that was. They tried. Well, like I had said earlier, at one point they were just going to see if my mom, did not look old enough, not nearly. And so then they tried 3 different kinds of old age makeup to finally get it with the look they wanted, But it was so fun because it's almost like playing another character. I changed kind of how I walked, like a more stiff, like I had arthritis kind of, changed my voice a bit. It was fun. I mean, that's what's great about acting. I mean, I've played everything from seriously, like from nuns to prostitutes, everything in between. That's what I love about it. It's like Halloween, a dress up, and creating a character. So I'll play old Alice any day, anytime.
So I know that earlier you said that you were a big horror fan before, correct?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Can you tell me some of maybe of your favorites, or maybe what kind of got you hooked on the genre?
Oh gosh, I just loved Carrie.
Yes.
Again, a redhead, right?
Right?
Who is just treated abominably at school, much like I was at school. I was like a Carrie, seriously. So I could just so relate to her, and just that whole scene when she's, the bucket of blood drops on her. Oh my gosh, it's just so freaking awesome. I love The Exorcist. I think probably on Saturdays after the cartoons were kind of over in the morning, they would, there'd be old black and white movies that come up, and, we'd be in our pajamas in the basement all day, me and my sister, and I just loved watching all those old black and white horror films. I was so intrigued by them. And then in 4th grade, my mom would take us to the library all the time, which was great. And as I have said, I'm obsessed with just reading. But my first novel I ever read was actually Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Nice.
And novel in 4th grade, 10 years old, but I loved it. Now, obviously this was not on the school reading list, but I literally read this under the covers with an electric blanket light. Okay, it's like, good night, Mom and Dad, and then I go to my room and then seriously read until 4 a.m. and then have school the next day. Crazy. So just, I don't know why I'm so fascinated with it, but I've always just ghost stories, the paranormal, vampires, horror. I just have always loved it.
So, mental note to self: Lisa Wilcox likes Carrie and can identify. Remind me to keep on her good side, guys.
Yeah, totally can.
And she can kick Freddy Krueger's ass. So
Twice.
Yeah. So let's be on her good side.
After the 2 big Nightmare movies, what kind of roles were you offered? What were you looking at as far as work?
I'm trying to think what I got to do. Star Trek Next Generation, and I did quite a few. I had like a recurring role on Knots Landing. I did a lot of guest stars on all kinds of shows. But it was pretty soon after Nightmare 5 that I had gotten married and wanted a family. So 1991 is when I had my first son. So 2 years after Nightmare 5, and I did do Bill and Ted's the TV show with 20th Century Fox when he was about 5 months old. We actually filmed up in Vancouver, which was great to live up there for a few months. Unfortunately, it only lasted 1 season, but then and then I wanted to have another child, and I never really wanted to be home. I wanted to be a hands-on mom. Nice. So I pretty much didn't really. I did Boy Meets World. Pretty much so stopped acting for quite a while.
Gotcha.
Much to my agent's chagrin. Anyway.
But bravo to you to want to step up and be that type of mother to your kids, and that's incredible.
Oh well, it was well worth it. I loved being like room mom and do the field trips and whatnot. And a lot of times too during acting, a lot of work was in Los Angeles, but also you end up traveling quite a bit, and I didn't want to leave home, So, but I'm back to it now.
Yeah. So
I was just about to ask.
Kids
So
are grown, out of the house. So yeah, I've been back to commercial work, print work, film work. For the past probably 2 or 3 years now. Well, we can't count last year, of course.
right.
Yeah.
Last year didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because nothing did happen except stay home.
So what new can we expect from Lisa Wilcox coming in the future?
There's a film called Mystery Spot, and it's been, finally this year. I did that movie just before COVID. But anyway, it's now being submitted to film festivals and whatnot. And then I just filmed a movie called Seasons, which is such a fun story. It's like a horror tale for every season of the year. I did Christmas Hell.
Nice.
And I have a character that you kind of love to hate, but then you end up really feeling sorry for her. So, I have, I was supposed to do 7 films last year. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm actually now, things are getting rescheduled and whatnot. So, so we'll do an interview again when stuff comes out.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Okay, Lisa, you've been so kind with your time with us today. We want to do something a little different that we've never done with a guest on our show before. You interested?
Sure. Okay.
So what we thought would be fun for the first time ever on Scarifyer is we're going to hit you with the fanboy impossible questions to answer.
Okay, so number 1, pretend you didn't star in either Nightmare 4 or 5. Which film is better?
Okay. Next.
It only gets better from here. Who would win in a fight, Nancy or Alice?
Oh, tricky. Alice.
All right.
Nice.
She knows karate. Come on.
Yeah.
It's true.
All right. So number 3 is behind the scenes question. Which production did you enjoy more, Nightmare 4 or 5?
That movie. That movie called Sophie's Choice?
Yes.
Choose between her children. Okay. All right. That's that kind of question, right? Nightmare 4 because of the character arc of Alice.
All right.
Nice. Oh, God. I just read what the next one is.
Yeah, this is a good one. Which director got the best out of your character, Rennie Harlan or Stephen Hopkins?
Rennie Harlan.
Oh, very cool.
All right.
Very cool. All right, Lisa, and here's the 5th and final question.
It's almost over.
So everybody's excited because they just announced Nightmare on Elm Street Part Brand New is coming out, starring Robert Englund and Lisa Wilcox. Lisa, where do you see Alice living her life in 2021, and what could be a good conflict between her and Freddy for the 3rd and possibly final time?
Oh, Lord, you guys. I am not a screenwriter. And I have been asked that question many times, actually. And I don't really have an answer yet. I don't know. I feel that, I don't know, I think she's healthy and safe, and her son, I kind of think her son might have had some mental issues, maybe. And I think, kind of like myself, I wanted to go into the medical profession. I think Alice might have gone into the medical profession, not a psychologist, but maybe a pediatric doctor, something like that.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what. And I don't think in a big city. I think she would have stayed close to Dad, smaller town. So that's the best answer I can give.
Thanks for playing.
Well, again, those are just silly questions we thought would be fun to, and thank you so much for playing along.
Yeah, you're such a good sport.
And I've been asked all of those, except for that first one.
All right,
we got one.
Point one for Scarifyer.
Yeah.
So who gets the gold star, us or her?
Oh, her, obviously.
Yeah. I would want to answer that. I mean,
Thank you again, Lisa. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Yes, I had a great time, you guys, and just great luck with your show.
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Yeah. So everybody, watch Scarifyer. Hoot hoot.
All right.
Hey there, it's Quinn from Scarifyer. You ever have one of those days where you're out on the lake and the sun's going down, gazing into the eyes of that special someone, and then you realize, I brought my machete, but no hockey mask. So, if you're in a rush to make a killing, head over to 13X Studios and get your very own custom hockey mask. Mask creator Rick Stizinski takes a hands-on approach to every order to create the perfect mask to your specialized needs. Why would you settle for red triangles when you can shop an assortment of original styles and colors? Rick's clientele includes Nightmare Toys, Kevin Smith, and Kane Hodder. Head online to follow 13X Studio on all social media platforms. Then go over to 13X Studios on Etsy to put in your custom order today. Don't get caught with your mask off while devising your next decapitation. Go to 13xstudios.com.
Scarifyer.